The night was eerily quiet. In the small, sleepy town of Willow Creek, the stars shone brightly against the dark canvas of the sky. It was a night like any other, or so it seemed. But for two unsuspecting residents, this night would mark the beginning of a journey that would challenge their understanding of reality itself. John Parker, a mechanic, and Sarah Mitchell, a schoolteacher, had never met before that fateful night. They lived on opposite sides of town, leading ordinary lives with no hint of the extraordinary experiences that awaited them. As the clock struck midnight, both John and Sarah found themselves inexplicably drawn outside, compelled by an unseen force to venture into the open fields that bordered Willow Creek. A soft hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. Suddenly, a blinding light descended from the sky, engulfing them in its radiant embrace. The world around them dissolved into a haze, and they were lifted effortlessly into the unknown. When John and Sarah regained consciousness, they found themselves in a sterile, dimly lit room. The walls were smooth and metallic, devoid of any discernible features. A faint, rhythmic beeping echoed in the background, the only sound breaking the oppressive silence. They lay on cold, metallic tables, unable to move, their bodies restrained by an invisible force. The air was thick with an unfamiliar scent, a mix of antiseptic and something otherworldly. As their eyes adjusted to the dim light, they saw figures moving about, tall, slender beings with elongated limbs and large, almond-shaped eyes. These beings, the abductors, moved with an unsettling grace, their expressions unreadable. The beings began their work, methodically and dispassionately. John and Sarah could only watch in helpless terror as the medical procedures commenced. The beings communicated with each other through a series of clicks and hums, their language incomprehensible to human ears. The first procedure began with a thorough examination. A hovering device, emitting a soft blue light, scanned John and Sarah from head to toe. The light penetrated their skin, revealing their internal structures in vivid detail. Every bone, muscle, and organ was meticulously catalogued and recorded. Next, the beings inserted slender, metallic instruments into various parts of their bodies. These instruments, controlled with precision, extracted samples of blood, tissue, and other biological materials. John winced as a needle-like device penetrated his arm, drawing a sample of his bone marrow. The pain was sharp but brief, replaced by a numbness that spread through his entire body. Sarah's experience was equally harrowing. A device resembling a drill was used to extract a sample of her spinal fluid. She felt a cold sensation as the device made contact with her skin, followed by an intense pressure that made her gasp for breath. The beings worked quickly, their actions efficient and devoid of any indication of empathy. The procedures grew increasingly invasive. Small, disc-shaped devices were implanted under their skin, near the base of their skulls. These devices, the abductors explained telepathically, were for monitoring and communication purposes. John and Sarah felt a strange tingling sensation as the devices were activated, their minds momentarily flooded with a torrent of alien images and information. The beings then focused on their brains. Electrodes were attached to their scalps, connected to a complex machine that emitted a low, pulsating hum. John and Sarah felt their consciousness slipping away, their thoughts becoming hazy and disjointed. The machine began to probe their memories, extracting fragments of their past with clinical precision. As the procedures continued, John and Sarah's fear began to give way to a sense of resignation. They realized that resistance was futile, their fate entirely in the hands of these otherworldly beings. Despite the invasive nature of the experiments, the abductors made no attempt to harm them beyond what was necessary for their research. Hours seemed to stretch into eternity, and finally, the procedures came to an end. The beings disengaged the restraints, and John and Sarah were left lying on the cold tables, their bodies aching and minds reeling from the ordeal. The same blinding light that had taken them now returned them to Earth. John and Sarah found themselves back in the fields, their bodies weak and minds clouded with a fog of confusion. The stars above were beginning to fade as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon. They staggered back to their respective homes, each grappling with the bizarre and terrifying experience. For days, they struggled with the after-effects, the strange marks on their bodies, the recurring nightmares, and the unsettling feeling of being constantly watched. Eventually, word of their experiences spread, and they were contacted by a local UFO research group. The group, led by Dr. Eric Harris, had been investigating reports of alien abductions for years. John and Sarah agreed to share their stories, hoping to find some sense of understanding and validation. What follows is a reconstruction of the actual sessions of both John and Sarah with Dr. Harris.
Thank you for speaking with us today, John. Can you start by describing what happened that night?
It's still hard to believe, even now. I remember feeling this overwhelming urge to go outside. I didn't know why, but I couldn't resist it. Then, there was this light, so bright, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. The next thing I knew, I was on that table, surrounded by those beings.
Can you describe the beings you encountered?
They were tall, maybe 7 or 8 feet, with long limbs and big, black eyes. Their skin was pale, almost translucent. They didn't speak, not in words anyway. It was like they were communicating directly into my mind.
What kind of procedures did they perform on you?
They scanned my entire body with this blue light. Then they started taking samples, blood, tissue, even bone marrow. It hurt, but it was over quickly. The worst part was when they implanted something in my neck. I could feel it under my skin, this cold, hard object. And then, they did something to my brain, something that made me relive my memories. It was like they were searching for something.
How have you been feeling since the abduction?
Different. Like there's something inside me that doesn't belong. I keep having these vivid nightmares, and sometimes I see things, flashes of images that I can't explain. I feel like they're still watching me, monitoring me somehow.
Thank you, John. We're going to do everything we can to help you understand what happened. Sarah, thank you for joining us. Can you tell us about your experience?
It's hard to put into words. That night, I felt compelled to go outside, like something was pulling me. Then, there was this intense light, and I blacked out. When I woke up, I was in that room, unable to move. Those beings, they were so alien, so indifferent.
Can you describe the procedures they performed?
They scanned me first, then started taking samples. It was painful, especially when they extracted my spinal fluid. I felt like I couldn't breathe. They implanted something in my neck, just like John. And then, they attached these electrodes to my head. I felt my mind slipping away, like they were sifting through my memories. It was terrifying.
How has your life changed since the abduction?
I've been having constant headaches and these awful nightmares. I see their faces every time I close my eyes. I also feel like I'm being watched, like they left a part of themselves behind. It's hard to explain, but it's this constant sense of unease.
Thank you, Sarah. We're here to support you and help you find answers.
Dr. Harris and his team began their investigation with a thorough examination of John and Sarah. The marks on their bodies were consistent with their descriptions of the procedures. X-rays revealed the presence of small, disc-shaped devices implanted near the base of their skulls. These devices emitted faint electromagnetic signals, confirming their purpose as tracking and communication tools. The team also conducted a series of psychological evaluations. Both John and Sarah exhibited symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, along with signs of possible memory manipulation. Hypnotherapy sessions revealed further details of their abduction, providing a clearer picture of the events that transpired. Dr. Harris compiled the findings into a comprehensive report, which he presented at a conference on extraterrestrial phenomena. The evidence was compelling, yet controversial. While some experts praised the thoroughness of the investigation, others remained skeptical, demanding more concrete proof. As time passed, John and Sarah continued to cope with the aftermath of their abduction. The support from Dr. Harris and his team provided some comfort, but the lingering effects of their experience were impossible to fully escape. John struggled to return to his normal life. The constant headaches and vivid nightmares made it difficult to focus on his work. He found solace in sharing his story with others who had similar experiences, forming a small support group of abductees. Together, they sought to make sense of their encounters and find some measure of peace. Sarah, too, faced challenges in her daily life. The sense of being watched never fully dissipated, and she often felt isolated from those around her. Teaching became a way to distract herself, to focus on something outside of her own mind. She found strength in the community of her students and colleagues, who provided a sense of normalcy in an otherwise turbulent existence. Dr. Harris continued his research, determined to uncover the truth behind the abductions. His work brought her into contact with other researchers and abductees, expanding the scope of his investigation. He began to piece together a larger picture, one that suggested a coordinated effort by extraterrestrial beings to study and monitor humanity. The discovery of similar implants in other abductees around the world hinted at a global phenomenon. Dr. Harris theorized that the aliens were conducting long-term research on human biology and behavior, using the implants to gather data and communicate with their subjects. The purpose of this research remained unclear, but the implications were profound. Driven by a desire to understand the true nature of the abductions, Dr. Harris embarked on a series of expeditions to known UFO hotspots. He traveled to remote locations, interviewing witnesses and collecting evidence. His journey took him to the deserts of Nevada, the forests of South America, and the frozen tundra of Siberia. In each location, he found traces of the same alien presence, strange lights in the sky, unexplained markings on the ground, and reports of missing time. The consistency of these accounts strengthened his belief in the global scale of the abductions. During one expedition, Dr. Harris uncovered a hidden facility in the mountains of Alaska. The facility, built into the side of a cliff, contained advanced technology that defied explanation. Inside, he found evidence of experiments conducted on both humans and animals, further supporting his theory of extraterrestrial research. The facility also contained detailed records of abductees, including John and Sarah. The records documented the procedures performed, the implants inserted, and the data collected. Dr. Harris realized that the aliens had been monitoring their subjects for decades, gathering information on their physical and psychological responses. The implications of this discovery were staggering. It suggested a level of technological and scientific sophistication far beyond human capabilities. Dr. Harris hypothesized that the aliens were conducting experiments to understand human evolution, possibly in preparation for future contact or integration. As Dr. Harris continued his research, he began to receive anonymous tips and information. Someone, or something, wanted him to uncover the truth. The tips led her to a network of underground bases, hidden beneath the surface of the Earth. These bases, he discovered, were operated by both humans and extraterrestrials, working together in secret. The revelation that elements within the human government were collaborating with the aliens shocked Dr. Harris. It explained the lack of official acknowledgement and the widespread efforts to discredit reports of abductions. The cooperation between humans and aliens raised profound questions about the true nature of the abductions and the ultimate goals of the extraterrestrial beings. Dr. Harris published his findings in a groundbreaking book, The Silent Abduction, Unveiling the Alien Agenda. The book sparked a global conversation about the possibility of extraterrestrial life and the implications of the abductions. While some dismissed his work as science fiction, others embraced it as a wake-up call to the reality of humanity's place in the universe. Despite the revelations, the mystery of the abductions remained unsolved. John and Sarah continued to live with the effects of their experiences, seeking answers and understanding. Dr. Harris's work brought new attention to the phenomenon, but many questions remained unanswered. The aliens' true motives, the extent of their research, and the future of human-alien relations were subjects of ongoing debate and speculation. The implants in John and Sarah's necks served as a constant reminder of their encounters, a physical connection to the beings that had altered their lives forever. In the end, the story of John Parker and Sarah Mitchell is a testament to the enduring human spirit in the face of the unknown. Their courage in sharing their experiences, and the tireless efforts of researchers like Dr. Harris, continue to push the boundaries of our understanding. As humanity ventures further into the cosmos, the lessons learned from the silent abductions serve as a reminder of the mysteries that await us. The truth may be elusive, but the quest for knowledge and the pursuit of understanding drive us ever forward, into the vast and uncharted depths of the universe. The journey is far from over, and the story continues to unfold. For John, Sarah, and countless others, the silent abductions are a call to look beyond the stars and seek the truth that lies hidden, waiting to be discovered.
Please leave comments below, and if you like this video, smash the like button and hit subscribe for more revelations of secrets hidden behind the curtain.